Hi there. This is Chris Britton. I'm the voice of Mr. Sinister, and you're listening to the Voice of Heroes.
Is he going to edit this part out? That's the question. Is he going to edit this part out? We don't know. And if I do something entertaining while he's gone, is it possible that he won't edit it out? I don't know. I don't know. We're just here. We're just looking at his neon and his figures, which are dope.
What's good, everybody? It's the one and only one, Fleeboy Jetson, and you are listening to the #1 anime podcast in the world, Voice of the Heroes. And if you're tuning in for the first time, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, click that notification bell so you can be notified for upcoming interviews and discussions on your favorite heroes and villains from across the multiverse. And joining us today, we got a very special guest. He is the voice of Kabuto from the Naruto anime series. He is Mr. Henry Dittman. How you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm good, Fleeboy, and I see your Knicks. I see your Knicks gear. I got to get my Clippers gear going.
Oh, let's go!
Make sure we go.
Hey, that's going really good, though.
Oh, dude, you know they're going to get injured before the postseason starts. I don't know how many of your listeners are basketball fans. You know we're not going to be healthy in the
most of them are.
You know we're not going to be healthy. It's the worst.
Hey, it's looking good though, man. You're looking the best in the West. Gotta say, man, this is the best I think I've ever seen the Clippers play.
Dude, I'm season tickets. I was season tickets at the point 22 years ago where you got buy one, get one free Clippers tickets, first of all. In that era, you would buy nosebleed seats, and some games, they would just say, move down as close. You could go courtside if you want to get courts. They would just let you move because there were no fans. Oh, and we would have a running tally. A good season was, oh, dude, if we just win 9 more games, we'll be 500 at home. At home.
At home, right?
So bad.
Well, hey, y'all came a long way, man. I think y'all got a decent champion winning the championship.
We'll see, man. Knock wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. Let's get straight into it. Tell us a little bit about what you were doing before acting and what inspired you to be an actor.
Dude, I am, and I have 2 kids, and I tell them this story all the time. I am an actor by default. I was a military kid. I moved all over. I was born in Pennsylvania, and then I lived in Canada, Florida, and which at the time we all thought was a beach state. We didn't realize like really how redneck Florida was, but that's my heart is in Florida.
I love
Guam. I lived on Guam, where I had very honestly formative experiences, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, because Guam is it's native Chamorros are the people who live on Guam, but because of its location, Guam has basically been bounced around from Japan to America, liberating it because it's a military base. So I had the experience of moving to a place where white people were not really that welcome. Which is a very formative experience after you've grown up in the South.
Yeah, especially in the South.
And then you go back to the South, and you're like, oh, like I had 3 years of learning some things about race relations and privilege and all of that. It was pretty amazing. But when I came back from Guam, I didn't know what to do, so I figured, I'll try out for the soccer team. And I did not make the soccer team. I was like the last guy to get cut. But I hadn't played soccer like in 10 years. I don't know what I thought I was doing. And I literally walked from being told I was cut straight to the theater teacher's classroom and said, all right, do you have something for me? Because I didn't make the soccer team. And that was the beginning of me being an actor. So I got out of high school. I didn't know what to do there. I traveled with a dancing group. I was a touring dancer through Europe and Soviet Union when there still was a Soviet Union, because I am incredibly old. And then, long story short, by the time I got out of college, I was like, I gotta.
So Kabuto knows some moves, huh? You can bust some moves.
I got some moves, man. I got some moves. You bet. You bet. So I've always been an actor, and I feel very lucky to do something that I really, really love doing for a living. Not everybody gets that, you know.
That is true. So was Kabuto your first role or your first introduction into the anime world?
No, well, it was my first introduction into the anime world as an actor, but I grew up watching Robotech and Voltron, like real OG anime stuff. Like this would have been 35 years ago that I was watching those shows and watching
the 80s, right?
Yeah, watching dubs and subs and And then was it before? I'm trying to think now what the timeline was. Have you ever watched the Evangelion series?
Yes, I have.
It
And I
hurts your,
watched the
it's very depressing. It's weird. But I watched that when I first moved to LA, and I can't remember if that was before Naruto or not. But
yeah, it was
then
before.
a handful of years ago, I got cast to do the remake of it. So it's like moving to LA 25 years ago, watched that show. I watched it on VHS tapes, dude. Like, I mean, it was crazy.
That was like a full circle moment for you.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can swear on your podcast, but
Yeah,
like
you can,
that
man.
show's
Go crazy.
that show is a mind fuck. Like, it's dark.
Yeah,
it's real dark.
Was the remake as dark?
I mean, it's the same. It's not a remake. It's just a redub. So, and then in the redub, I played like this, basically from the point where I saw that series, I basically found a career for myself, which is maybe a tangent, a career for myself playing villains and playing douchebags and assholes, and which is the most fun role to play, the jerk. And so then full circle, when I redubbed it with a director named Carrie Karanen, who does a lot of dubbing and anime and is a great voiceover actor herself, she called and was like, I want you to play this asshole corporate guy. And so that was sort of the full circle of the thing, was that I got to see it, love it, get into the anime world after loving it my whole life as a fan, and then voice the role that like maybe launched a lot. It was a great inspiration for me, whether I even knew it or not. So yeah, so way before I was acting, I was into anime.
That's great. That's
For
great.
sure.
Did you know anything about Naruto before getting the gig?
Not a thing. And Yuri Lowenthal, who of course is the voice of Sasuke and is a great voice actor, he and his wife Tara Platt moved to LA. I mean, it would have been 20 something years ago, and we did a play with each other, like a stage play with each other of a Clive Barker play. Because he also was a playwright called Crazy Face, I think it was called. We did this play in this ratty theater and became immediate close friends. And they had just gotten married and moved from New York to LA maybe a year earlier. Or no, maybe they just moved. And then about a year later, Yuri called and he was like, dude, I've been doing this show called Naruto. They are doing auditions for this character and you should come in and audition for this show. And basically he's the reason I got the audition for the role of Kabuto.
Oh man.
So I didn't even know what
friend, huh?
Yeah, oh my gosh, you think, yeah, really good friend. And we remain really good friends. So yeah, that's how I got into it. And I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know how amazing that fan base is. Like that's a real fan
they
base.
love their characters. I'm not gonna lie to you. It doesn't matter what character is, from the smallest role to the biggest role. There's somebody out there who a diehard fan of these characters.
Yes, man. And I when I got started as I was getting my acting career going, I did a lot of hosting. And I hosted Game Tap's coverage of Comic-Con. And so I go to Comic-Con, I just started doing the voice of Kabuto maybe a year earlier, and I meet someone dressed as Kabuto. So I interview her, but I'm interviewing her as the show host. I'm interviewing her, I'm like just talking to her, and at the end I'm like, hey, can I get my picture with you? And she's like, what?
Did she know who he was?
She's like, why do you want a picture with me? I'm like, well, my name is Henry Dittman. And she started crying. She was like, oh my gosh, I love what you do. And that was like one of two very big moments where I was like, oh, like this is something very special that I have stumbled into.
What was the other one?
The other one was when I first got the role, I was told early on, hey, you got to make your voice sound really young to play Kabuto. He's a spy. We got to believe he's a good guy. Make him young. And so I made the voice very young. And keep in mind, 20 something years ago, social media was not really popping like it is now at all. It was message boards. Everything was message boards. So I do the first episode. And if you go back and watch that first episode of Kabuto, it's like, this is an exaggeration, but it was like, hi, I'm Kabuto. Like, it's very And then I watched the first episode and I was like, watching it, and I went to the message boards, and literally the fans were like, what the F is this? Like, what is this guy doing? What is this? You know, I didn't understand. Of course, I could tell how wonderful the voice actor was who was ahead of me playing the original role. But
Oh, there was somebody before you
oh
playing
no, I mean
Kabuto?
I mean the original Japanese voice.
Oh, okay.
You know, obviously, because you listen when you do dubbing, you listen to their voice to get the timing of it. Not so much, I don't usually try to get their performance because I try to make my own performance, but to get the timing of it. But that was like the other moment that I went, oh, these fans are really smart. They're really savvy. They're not just haters, because there are really avid fans of some things that just hate. I mean, Knicks fans.
True.
Knicks fans at the draft.
Oh,
The greatest booers. They're the greatest booers. But like, I really realized in that moment, like, these are smart fans and listen to them. And the very next session that I did as Kabuto, I tried to drop his voice a tiny bit. The next episode, dropped the voice. Like, I just trying to subtly follow, because I just was like, these aren't just people watching this show. These are real guys, as an old producer of mine used to say. These are real fans. These are real women who, like, they know what they're talking about and follow them. So
true indeed.
those were like the two moments that I went, this is going to be something big. And I had no idea it was going to be 100 episodes and 10 video games and 20 years and some of the closest friends in my life. But I could tell it was something.
It really expanded too in the year of 2020. Like, anime just took on a whole new form, and it was like a reinsurgence of old animes like Naruto and One Piece and Bleach that, you know, was off air for a while and already going into, you know, their next generations. Speaking of next generation, how do you feel about the character development of Kabuto going from, you know, this badass villain all the way into like almost like a preach in Naruto Next Generation?
In Boruto, yeah. Well, I said already I love playing villains, and most of how I got started doing that, I'll come around to your answer. I'm not good. I'm not
no
great
problem. Go ahead. We got.
But one of the things I always loved about playing villains, especially in comedy, playing villains, is that actually you do it and you play jerks, and a lot of times, like, that's guys in the office, because most people in America, their greatest villain is their boss. And I found it really fun to play those guys because, and I'd walk off set and people would be like, "Oh my gosh, how'd you come up with all that improv?" And I'm like, you're thinking this stuff all day long. It's just that society tells you you can't say these things, and you're paying me a very decent wage to just say what we all think. It's very easy to improvise as a jerk. Just basically, it's all the stuff you don't feel like you can say. So if it weren't for the origin story of Kabuto episode, I would hate where Kabuto landed in Boruto.
Oh man,
But
I'm glad you said it and not me.
I would hate it. But he deserved redemption after we saw how he became, even how he got his name, even how he got like all of it. Once you knew what the origin story was, I think he deserved it. He deserved some redemption. I'm not sure I wouldn't love to see him still be nasty and a little bit one of those like villain cliffhangers of like, will he come back? Will he come through again? But that origin story, I don't think I've ever been affected like that doing a performance. You show up to these sessions that we do, you're not with other actors. You're by yourself recording all your lines. If you're the first one on, it's just you setting the tone for the entire performance. If you're the last one on, you're hearing everybody. I didn't know until I did Tiger and Bunny that people leave nasty jokes for each other on the track. And I got to record one of them, and Yuri was ahead of me. He left all these filthy jokes for me, and I was like, "Oh, we can do this." And the guy running the board was like, "Yes, you don't do this. You've been following Yuri's been following you for 20 years. You never left him jokes." But like, I showed up. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn was the director of that episode. Amazing voice actor, amazing director herself. And I got there. Wait, was she? No, she wasn't the director of that one. Regardless, the director got there. Maybe it was her. She was like, "This is going to be big for you." And you read your line in the context. The director shares with you what the episode is, because you're not really able to like see it in its full context. And then you watch the Japanese actor do it to get the timing, and then you record it. So you have, it's almost like a rehearsal, but you do not get these scripts in advance. You can't read them in advance. And maybe like 4 or 5 lines into the episode, I started to get real emotion coming up and really heartbroken for this character that I'd done for so many years. And so very quickly, I stopped reading the lines before the Japanese. And so I was every line as in that episode, any emotion you hear, I'm a comedy guy at heart. I don't think that I'm some like Oscar winning actor, but like all the emotion that's in that episode is legitimate emotion because a lot of those lines I was reading what you call cold. I'd never read the line before. Just because I felt like this emotion is correct. And so to have done that episode and had that feeling about him, then when they brought me back in for Boruto, I was like, oh, I wonder if he's going to be some evil, nasty. We're going to see the rise. We're going to see some little in the shadows. And I was disappointed selfishly as an actor because I love playing him as a dirty villain. But I don't know. He deserved some redemption.
Yeah,
I hate to say this, but it
overall.
wasn't his fault.
Yeah, overall, I feel like they took the best elements from Kabuto because Kabuto could have been maybe the next big bad because he had a significant part to play in the Great Ninja War.
Oh,
And
yeah, 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 yeah.
also, through that whole arc, he told his own story, like you said. So to see him go from that to Boruto, him being this, yeah, I was a little disappointed as
Yeah, it's
well.
disappointing. And like he was a great villain. I mean, that
He was one of the best. He was
that Kabuto Sasuke Itachi battles like top 10. That's top 10 battle of this series for me. You know what I
Well, that
mean? Like,
answers one of my questions because I was gonna ask you.
oh, sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm glad we're going into it. What do you feel like is your best Naruto fight? And you just answered it. You feel like that's one of the best ones?
Oh, it's his best fight. Kabuto's best fight is that battle. That's his best battle. My best battle as a voice actor was the first battle versus Naruto. Like that. And for me, it was, again, that for sure was Mary Elizabeth directing that one. That was the first time, and I'd have to look and see how deep we were into the show. It's possible we were several seasons in at that point. That was the first time where I felt like it clicked for me as an actor and stopped being, the technical aspects stopped being work. Because it's tricky, man. It's tricky to do this acting and also be watching someone's lips at the same time and try to match the lip flap and also match the emotion, and you're on a clock. And I learned all this stuff about voiceover the hard way. Like I should have taken a class. We can talk later about like what my advice is for voice actors. But like when I got hired to do my first dubbing, it was this video game Xenosaga 3. And the way they do this dubbing is they go, all right, listen to the line, and they go, all right, listen to these beeps. Do you know, like, do you know how this works? Fleeboy, it's like they go beep, 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 start.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
like a click track for a drummer.
Yeah, I know
Beep.
what you're talking about.
So they're like, okay, great. Here's your first line. I listened to it. They're like, all right, here we go. And it goes beep, beep, beep. I'm like, I don't know what these beeps are.
you just sit there.
And they're like, let's try again. I'm like, okay. Like, I thought it was a technical issue, like beep, 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 but I'm just sitting there. They're like, hey, you talk after the beeps, dummy.
Do you get to improv any though? Sometimes maybe like throw your own little twist in some of the lines.
Well, I mean, in the performance, that's an interesting question for acting in general. Like when I first got into the business, I came through theater and through improv. And so I got into the business feeling like improv was, I'm quick-witted, and I was a writer, and I felt like my best skill was improv. And so anytime I get in some sketch comedy show or something, I'd like always want to rewrite. Then I started writing and found how much work goes into the writing, and felt like the improv for me became learn the lines the writer wrote. And then when you finish the line the writer wrote, if they don't call cut, riff. Or riff inside the written line, but you have to honor what these writers write. Like they work hard on this writing. But in the dubbing stuff, there's not really space for it. But the other feeling I have about improv, when I was in college, I was like, improv is a performance style. It is. And all my acting teachers are like, no, it's an acting tool. Now I feel like the way in which you improvise is that I could listen to the Japanese actor do a line, or whichever language I'm dubbing, and hear what their intention was, and then make my own choice about the performance of it. But as far as improvising the lines, there's no space for it. except on Tiger and Bunny, where they got real fast and loose with the writing, and they didn't really care so much. There was a lot of space where they're like, hey, what if we said this instead? And so we'd riff. But like for Naruto, we stuck to the translations that the translators created.
Okay, cool. Was any of those lines that Kabuto said, any of his lines ever resonated with you in real life, or like with you in any way?
Yeah, man. And it's my favorite. I just like 2 weeks ago did my first appearance, did my first signing. Yuri
Oh, really?
Yuri for years has been asking me to do them, and really like, what are you doing, man? Like, meet the fans. And I just had these visions of like being at a ballroom in Orlando and nobody coming to meet me and being like, what, this is embarrassing. And then Miley Flanagan, who plays Naruto, is also a friend of mine from the theater. And I saw her at an audition and she was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you're just working in a vacuum? You're doing all this work and you never talk to any fans about it. Like, people love your character. They want you to come to these events. I'm like, okay. So I reached out to Yuri. I'm like, hey man, I'm going to do an event. Miley talked me into it. And Yuri was like, oh, because Miley asked you, you'll do it.
Oh, it's Naruto.
I've been asking you for 20 years and you won't do it. What was it, man? What was your question? I totally sidetracked.
No, does any of those lines that Kabuto resonate with you?
So at the events, a lot of times, because I've got a Funko Pop and the people want you to sign that, which I'm super into. I've collected signatures. That's a Blake Griffin right there. I've collected signatures. I've collected memorabilia. I've got all my Star Wars stuff still in my attic at my dad's house. I collected all of that. Comic books when I was a kid. They often will say, what's your favorite line? And mine, without a shadow of a doubt, and I picked it because it was badass, is dreams don't come true when you're dead. And I think that's from the Naruto Kabuto battle. It might be, but it may be from the Sasuke battle. Dreams don't come true when you're dead. It's like such a great line. And I loved it forever because it's a badass line. Now I've got kids and I'm getting older, and I love it from this point of view of, you have a small amount of time on this planet to like make your dreams come true and chase them. And to have grown up a military kid, which is a very steady lifestyle where your money is set, your insurance is paid, your house is covered. To have grown up in a place where people live in the town they were born in. I've made sacrifices to move out here. I'm lucky moving out to become an actor. I'm lucky that I have a house. I'm lucky that I have a family. A lot of my friends who do this suffer for their art. They're just artists, and you make sacrifices. So, and now I'm faced with continuing to chase my dreams while trying to be a good dad and trying to be a good husband and be present for my family. So now that has a very different meaning behind it. Dreams don't come true when you're dead. This is your moment to make them come true. So that's probably the biggest one for me.
I respect that. I like that answer. Now I don't know if you heard, but Lionsgate is in early development in making a live action Naruto movie, right? If you
no, I did. I've never heard that until this moment.
Yeah, they're in the process.
Of course they are. Of course they're. You'd be stupid not to. All right.
So they're in the process of making it. Who would you like to see cast as Kabuto if you can do a fan casting?
Oh, Chalamet.
Chalamet?
Yeah, I think so. He's a creep, and he's like long and thin and pale. Timothy Chalamet for sure. It's not Chalamet, right? Is it Chalamet?
It might be. One of the two.
It's supposed to be Chalamet. I think Timothy Chalamet. I think he'd be awesome. He's an awesome actor.
Casting.
He's an awesome actor too, man. Really. I know it's easy when they're great looking to be like, oh, he's not that good. He's so skilled.
Are there any upcoming or ongoing animes you would like to work on?
I want so badly for Tiger and Bunny to come back. And I know that's like, I don't know if it is or not. Like I went down a rabbit hole. I learned a hard lesson a couple of weeks ago that you can't believe anything you read on will things get picked up. I would love Tiger and Bunny to come back. The truth
did it have, like 2 seasons?
It's had 2 seasons. They just did another run last year. I don't know how popular it was because Netflix really won't tell anybody how popular things are. But honestly, this isn't an exciting answer. I want Kabuto to come back in Boruto.
As a villain, right? Or
yes, as a villain. Yes, as a villain. I want something to happen to turn him back into villain. Somebody said to me at a fan event, and you know you cannot take this to the bank, that they heard. Why am I going to finish this sentence?
Might as well.
I heard from somebody at a. So this is not a person who would know anything. There's no point in thinking this is a leak of any kind. They were like, I heard that he does come back in the manga. That Kabuto does come back.
Seen anything like that?
I haven't
I've been
either.
up to date
So-
with what's going on currently now.
So you'd know, like, how far ahead
yeah.
is the manga from the show?
Oh, it's pretty far.
Years.
Yeah, it's
But
they already
outside-
did the time skip. So
so yeah. So I don't know it, but as far as other animes that are on right now, like I want to play Kabuto again, and I really want to play Golden Ryan again. Talking about playing douchebags, like that guy is one of the most fun roles I've ever played ever as an actor. So those would be the two. I'd want the ones I've already done to come back again.
okay, that's a great answer. So we talked about what animes you was watching as a kid,
Mhm.
right? Robotech, Voltron, things like that. Would you put those in your top 3 animes if I was to ask you, like, what are your top 3 animes of all
Well,
time?
if I'm being very real with you, I don't watch a lot of anime right now because I've got kids that are too young for it.
Yeah.
So they would be, because I'm not that aware of what's out unless I'm working on it as an actor.
No, but
So-
like my animes would be something like, see, I really don't consider everything like, well, what I watched when I was younger to be animes, because coming up, like, I couldn't distinguish the difference between animes and cartoons.
Yeah.
Like Dragon Ball Z or Pokemon. I never knew those were animes until growing up.
Yeah.
So, you know, for me, it would be like my top 3 growing up would be like X-Men, Spider-Man, things
Yeah.
like that. Batman,
those
animated
X-Men
series.
that X-Men series in the 80s was so great. And so is Spider-Man and his amazing friends with Firestarter and or
Yeah.
Firestar and Iceman.
Y-
I do watch Pokemon with my kids, so I guess that would be that should change my answer. If I could get onto Pokemon, which my kid cannot get enough of, that'd be pretty amazing. Because he would then understand what I do for a living. Top 3, Robotech. Robotech for me might be number 1. Because that blew my mind. Oh my gosh, that blew my mind. Voltron with the lions, not with the cars. Voltron with the lions, pretty great. And Evangelion, just because it messed me up so hard. It really messed me up. Don't watch it. Don't watch it if you have a delicate grasp on your positivity as a person. Just don't watch Evangelion.
All right, so we were scrolling. You know, I do my research normally whenever I do an interview to try to, you know, come up with topics or questions. And I was going through YouTube and I seen a clip of you and a friend or you and a buddy, and you know, it was a Star Wars clip, and y'all started on the couch, and then y'all started dueling with the lightsaber. I say, yo, man, I like this guy.
Right.
Really,
That's
if you
great.
could, you know, get cast in a Star Wars movie, would you prefer a Jedi or a Sith? Now, I already know that you probably, I don't know your answer, but you did say you like playing villains.
I do
So
love
I'm
playing
gonna
villains.
assume a Sith.
Man, I am so deeply Star Wars rooted. Like Star Wars came out, my family took me to see it, was I 7? In a drive-in movie theater in New Mexico, drive-in movie theater. And then the next road trip we took, they handed back a paper grocery sack, and it had like 9 Star Wars action figures in it. And we lost the Princess Leia gun. We never found it again. It was a great trauma of my childhood, a very soft childhood. That's my trauma. But we didn't have a Han Solo, and so the stormtrooper was Han Solo dressed as a stormtrooper. That was what we said, so we could have a Han Solo. I joined the Star Wars fan club when I was like 10. I got the Bantha Tracks issues still in my closet. When the new movies came out, me and my nerd friends bought lightsabers in our apartment in Hollywood, and we'd have lightsaber battles in the dark. Stoners. Dumb. I spent one night sleeping in line in front of Mann's Chinese Theater before I saw the first prequel. I did one night. I
man.
wasn't 3 weeks in line like the real fans. We got up to the line. Our friend who was paying for the tickets, his credit card didn't work, and we would have been the last people to buy tickets to the first showing, but his credit card didn't work. And in the time it took us to find another credit card, somebody went to the other box office. We were the first people to the second show. Great. That's my other trauma. Easy life. So I'm very deeply Star Wars, deeply Star Wars. Sith. Why can't I just answer your questions, Fleeboy?
No,
Ask me a simple question.
I love the answers, man, because I get stories with them.
Yeah,
and that's
Sith.
phenomenal to see how much of an impact Star Wars had on people,
So
even
deep.
from the 70s or 90s and going forward, even to right now. Two of their movies being in the top 3, 5 most watched movies or most successful box office movies ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty interesting, man.
Yeah,
now,
I'm a freak for Star Wars, and I bought every figure that they had all the way. Star Wars, every figure. Empire Strikes Back, every figure. Return of the Jedi, every figure. And then you probably are too young for this. They made a Droids Saturday morning cartoon show. There was like R2D2 and C3PO and like the Ewoks, but the robot's eyes were like cartoon eyes, not like the little
I don't remember.
scope. They were like cartoon eyes, and it was just like, oh, I'm done buying these toys. That's it. I'm out.
What do you think about the new stuff from Star Wars?
The new movies?
The new movies, the new media, because everything's connected now, from the comic books to the shows to the movies. How do you feel about let's start with the Disney Plus shows. How do you feel about the recent Disney Plus shows that come out?
Well, I think Andor is maybe one of the best streaming shows I've ever seen. Like, I thought Andor was amazing. I also loved Rogue One. I loved Andor. I like all those caper movies, like from way back in the day, The Great Escape and The Magnificent Seven, and all these, like, it felt like a Western. It felt like a bunch of caper movies, like the Ocean's 11 movies at times. So I thought that was awesome. I Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'm so OG that Obi-Wan Kenobi is like probably one of my favorite, him and Han Solo, like two of my favorite characters ever. And I thought, so I dug that. Obviously, Mandalorian's great. Obviously, Boba Fett.
They're getting their own movie. They're not even coming out.
I know. Obviously, Boba Fett was also a show that they made. It's not great. It was not great.
What do you think was the worst one? Do you think Obi-Wan Kenobi, or you think Boba Fett?
Of shows?
Yeah, out of those two, which one do you think?
I didn't understand the casting of Boba Fett. I didn't understand the actor they cast in it. And this is not, I'm not like that. I'm not somebody who slams other actors. I just didn't find him charismatic. Like, it's not like everybody could be Pedro Pascal, but like, he's charismatic, and Glover is charismatic as Lando. And I don't know, I just felt I found the Boba Fett actor to not be that likable, or how he played it or something. It's probably a better show than Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I love Obi-Wan Kenobi so much that I think I liked it better. But neither of them are great.
I definitely.
And then I tried to watch Ahsoka. What's that?
You didn't like Ahsoka?
It's not that. It's just that I never saw the Clone Wars cartoon.
Oh, you gotta watch that.
I know, dude. I know.
I think it's better than the movies, me personally.
And do you agree that I would probably like Ahsoka a lot more if I'd seen the Clone Wars?
Yeah, definitely. Because
you don't get it.
Yeah, because if you just watch Ahsoka from that, you're not really gonna, dig the character too much, because of the character development that she had throughout the Clone Wars and throughout Rebels.
All right.
You end up growing like that attachment to her. But if you just jump right into Ahsoka, yeah, I probably wouldn't like it either.
It's just I just couldn't. It didn't grab hold of me. To be fair, Andor took me a couple episodes to grab hold of me as well.
Andor was just a good series, period. You could have took the name Star Wars out of it, and it would have been its self-owned, like, yeah, it was that good. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, and then for the newer movies, I don't know. The newer movies, I thought Episode 7 was amazing, and then I just thought they suffered from not having one person driving the ship.
Yeah, I think Episode 8 was terrible. Yeah. Episode 9 was like trying to
fix
the bandage, just bandage things up. So it was already done with, I think, after Episode 8. But they do have more movies coming out. There's been a whole bunch
watch every one of them. I'll watch every one of them at midnight, like I saw everyone before that. But I mean, Phantom Menace also, the first Episode 1, I went and saw that. When I saw it in the theater, I walked out. We bought 2 second and third showing. So I walked out and I was like, oh. was that bad? Was this movie bad? And then I went, I
Hey,
kept
the
seeing it.
lightsaber fights was insane.
Oh my gosh, the
though.
lightsaber fights were great.
Yeah, those was
Were
great. That's one thing
great.
about the prequels. Their fight scenes are unreal. Like
Yes.
Chef's Kiss.
Yes.
And Revenge of the Sith. Is that the one? That's the last one, right?
Yes.
Revenge
Yeah,
of
that's
the
right.
Sith.
Right? Isn't that the ninth one?
Yeah, no,
Or are you talking about the third one?
The one where Darth Vader gets his true origin, where he
Oh yeah,
slays
that might
all
be
the
Revenge of the Sith.
Padawans and things like that. That one, I think that's episode 3.
Yeah.
That might be episode 3. That one I think is one of my favorites out of all of them.
Yeah,
but you are a writer, correct?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about writing your own anime?
Ah, that's interesting. I'll say no, I haven't. That's so interesting. I had a period of time a couple of years ago where I tried to get an animation company started with a producer I had worked with. We spent like 3 or 4 years writing content and pitching to networks and that kind of thing. And then, not to bring it down, but rest in peace, he passed away. And that was sort of the heart behind the company. And now my daughter, now 3 years later, 4 years later, is a wonderful artist. And although she's never watched anime, she loves drawing in the anime style. And so we've started talking recently because she's an artist and she's watching her friends get really good at things, but she doesn't really want to play sports, although she's very athletic. She's like, what's the thing I could be amazing at? And I'm like, you're a great artist. And I'm a voice actor. So why don't we get an app and we'll learn how to do animation? Like, I think it's very difficult to do great animation, but it's not difficult to do crappy animation. Like anybody can just like.
Or a short film.
Or a short
film. You can do a short film.
And I have written and produced TV pilots, live action pilots, and taken them around to all the different networks and channels and pitched them. So I do think she and I probably this summer will start messing around with writing little shorts and little animated things where she can do all the art and she and I can do the voices and I'll produce it and we'll put it together. But yeah, I haven't thought about
that would be
writing
amazing.
an anime.
I ain't even gonna lie.
Like
that would be an amazing project you and your daughter to work on. And you already got like, the mindset of a great creator. And you explored the Star Wars universe, you have the Naruto universe. So just the stuff that I can imagine you create will be insane.
You just do a voice
on the show.
No, if it becomes a show, you just come do a voice. If it becomes a show, you come do a voice. That's what it is. If you ever do any acting, you have a great voice.
Hey, I would love to.
There you go.
I'll try it. But all I ask, come back on the show. Let us know a little about it. Let us get
for real, dude. I haven't ever thought of that. That's so interesting that I wouldn't have. But again, I have to say, it's such a world. It's so crazy. It's so detached from a logical train of thought that I haven't, for example, done conventions and met fans. That I've done all the work I've done. I came with such a grind mindset. I came with such a mindset of the grind and the hustle and always be creating. And I even had a saying with my friends, like NNH, never not hustling, of like, just don't even celebrate your successes, push on to the next job, just because I always felt like I wanted to make a career for myself. And one of the first shows that I hosted ran about 50 episodes. It was one of those like TV makeover shows on USA Network where you watch a movie and every commercial break, they're like, we're going to teach you how to make a turkey. And I finished the 50th episode and the last episode, we got canceled, but it was 50 episodes, not small amount of episodes for shows like that. And my buddy was like, we got to go celebrate. And I was like, what are you talking about? We're going to celebrate. We're like, my show got canceled. And he was like, because they would order 10 episodes at a time. He was like, because 5 times your show got picked up. And every time I wanted to celebrate you, you said you'd celebrate when we got the next pickup. And you never celebrate your successes. What are you doing? And I think it's maybe why I didn't ever do the conventions or the fan meets. And I did this convention at this incredible shop, OG Collectibles, in Southern California. And like people were like the emotional response, it's like that experience at Comic-Con, like the emotional response from fans who grow up watching your work and love what you did or can connect to the outsider character. Like Kabuto is really special in that way too, because Kabuto is someone that people really connect to if they don't feel like they're attached to something. So I just think I thought of it as like, this is the work that I'm doing and it's in a vacuum and probably nobody really cares. And now I'm seeing they do. And probably in general, I should be thinking about how my other ways I can serve the anime community. Because that's honestly how I look at it. I don't look at it as like I'm taking a paycheck from doing voiceover. I look at it as like I'm building this community that meant so much to me.
Even with what
You
you're
know?
doing right now, even being on this podcast is for the voice actors from our heroes and villains that my community and the anime community in general love and want to know about. We
Yeah.
grow up laughing with these villains or heroes, crying with them, feeling their emotions, getting so invested in these characters that we start to wonder who brought these characters to life. And I know for me, I didn't watch Naruto in sub. I watched it in dub from beginning to end. And I feel like Naruto is the best anime when it comes to dub. The voice actors who worked on that project, my God, are some of the best. And since I've been doing this channel now for like a year, y'all are all like down to earth, loving, care about the characters. I haven't done an interview without one yet that didn't have respect, not only for their character, but for the show and the community. And I gotta, give y'all flowers, because it doesn't matter if it was the Hokage down to one of the Gennies, all of y'all brought something magical to this show. And thank you so much for your time, Henry, for real. It
Bro,
means a lot to me and everyone else.
That hits me with real emotion, man. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you. And and I have to say, the company that did those dubs is a company called Studiopolis, and Jamie Simone, who owns and runs that company, and the directors that they hire and the translators that they hire and the actors that they hire are incredible people. And I've worked in a lot of different projects, and you walked into the studio and it felt like a family. So they say these sorts of things. When we're talking about sports to start, it all starts with the owner. If your owner's a scumbag, like talk about the Clippers, dude. Like that was a dysfunctional franchise because their owner was a racist. Was an awful person. And what Jamie built over there and what Mary built over there and the earliest directors I worked with and the casting director and all those people, all the talent, it's a loving environment to work in is where it starts. But I really appreciate you saying that, man, because it's been my great honor to play that character for so many years, and it's been an even greater experience now just in the last couple of months of getting to meet fans and find out exactly what it has meant to them. And it makes me want to do more of those conventions,
Well, I hope we see you at one, because Voice of the Heroes, we go to a lot of them. We do, we support as well, whether we can get signings or posters or whatever it is. Matter of fact, for everybody watching, like I tell all our other voice actors, give me a link where we can, you can do signings. We put in the description, and we get a fair amount of views. One got about 7.5. We just started like really going hard on the channel, so we're really dedicated this time around. At least I am, because I'm stretched out. Pause. From Twitch to my other YouTube channel, that I'm really dedicating myself to this, because I'm loving what I'm doing. Sitting down, talking to my favorite heroes and villains and hearing their stories is so unreal. And just meeting y'all, is just dope, man. I don't want to gush too much, but let's get back into it. Are there any projects?
Well, let me say, sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Are there any upcoming projects that you could talk about, whether it be acting, animation, Comic-Cons, anything that you can talk about?
I have an appearance coming up in March in the LA area that I'm not allowed to talk about yet. I'm sure it's going to announce very soon. But if you follow my Insta at Henry Dittman, or you check out Celebworks, which is Celebworks, but instead of KS, it's an X. If you follow them, they'll announce very soon. I'm pushing out into as many conventions as will book me, just because I want to ride this high of meeting fans. And I do a thing at my table where once I sign, I have a guest book and I have the fans sign something to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I can remember what that experience as well, because it means I'm here to tell you, man, it means as much to me as it does. It probably means more to me. than it does to the fan after pouring so much of myself into it. But I've got some other movies that I'm attached to, and we're waiting to see if they get made. It's a funny business. Like, you say yes to a movie, and sometimes then you just wait and see what's going to happen. But the thing I've got online right now, still on Netflix, is Prank Encounters, which is a prank show that I did, and Celebrity Prank Wars with Kevin
Oh,
Hart.
that's right. With the
with Gaten Matarazzo.
yeah,
So
from
I've got
Stranger
some,
Things.
I got some of those things that I can't talk about, because if you talk about them, then people look for you and you can't prank people. Doesn't work. It doesn't work. But mostly right now I'm focused on getting out there and meeting some fans and, pressing the flesh, man. It feels so good.
That's
But
what's
check
up.
that for sure. Follow me on my Insta and follow Celebworks and watch, because I want to meet as many fans as possible in the next year.
And all links will be in the description below. Thank you so much for coming on. And also, heroes, make sure you check on the Patreon for all the bloopers, funny stuff that happened that we can't show you on the YouTube channel. You already know what it is. This is Henry Dittman. Thank you once again for coming to the show. Let them know where they can find you at on Instagram once again.
Yeah, man, at Henry Dittman on Insta and everywhere else, dude. So nice to meet you, man. You're awesome. I'm glad your podcast is a success.
Thank you so much.
Ask me again sometime. Let me come hang out with you.
Definitely. I'll check y'all around. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more interviews.
Oh, I gotta say one more thing. I also host the longest running Clippers podcast. The longest running 12 seasons at this point. It's called LA Clipcast. So if you are a basketball fan, please follow us and like us, LA Clipcast, CLIPCAST. It's me and Chris Wilde, who's a voiceover actor and an on-camera actor, and we are clowns. So if you're into basketball,
hey,
check us out.
I gotta check that out, man.
Yeah, man.
I gotta go over there and show some Knicks love.
Yes, please do.
So peace, y'all have a good one.
Sing it with me.